What is going on, Summoners? We're back here today with another Champion Deep Dive. She's a clone of Jean Grey created by Mr. Sinister. Today, we're talking about Madelyne Pryor, the Goblin Queen. Madelyne Pryor enters the contest wielding the Scythe of Sorrows. When the Scythe interrupts an opponent's heavy charge or punishes their heavy, combo-ending attack, or their special attack, it places a misery buff for 6 seconds. Misery buffs multiply their potency for each misery active on the opponent. And when a hindered opponent charges their heavy attack, or when they finish a combo-ending attack, time slows down briefly. But more on that hinder later. She starts each fight with a force field with integrity equal to 20% of her max health. When being struck, the force field takes 50% of the damage instead, and when blocking hits, the force field takes 100% of the damage instead. When her force field prevents damage, it expends less integrity the higher the opponent's block penetration is. While charging her heavy, Madelyne converts power into integrity, converting power faster the longer she charges her attack. As an attacker, while her force field has integrity, she is immune to bleed and rupture effects. And when she's immune to one or more of either effect, her force field gains plus 5% of its max integrity. Now, Madelyne's beam hits on her special 1 restore 5% of the starting integrity to her force field, increased by an additional plus 2% for each buff on the opponent, up to a max of 15. Power gain buffs count as 3 buffs. And at the end of her special 2, Madelyne summons a pit of grasping, clawing arms for 15 seconds. This pit cannot trigger if it's already active. When the opponent enters the pit, she inflicts an 80% hinder debuff and a fear passive both for 3 seconds. And while in the pit, misery, hinder, and fear effects are paused. While Madelyne is in the pit, her parry stuns expire 100% faster, but are paused while charging heavy attacks. She also gains an inexorable passive while in the pit, and during Cosmic Champion special attacks, this becomes a special inexorable. Now, when a buff with reduced potency activates on the opponent, she inflicts a degen passive dealing direct damage over 9 seconds. These degen passives scale with the buff's missing potency, so the larger the buff, the more damage she'll deal when the buffs are hindered. Now, with her special 3, once used, it cannot be used again for 60 seconds. This attack power steals all bars of power on her opponent that are completely full, and she gains 50% of the power stolen. After 10 seconds, for each bar stolen this way, the opponent gains a power gain buff, granting 50% of a bar of power over 15 seconds. Also, with her Sig ability, she starts each quest with a goblin horde that persists until the end of the quest. When she defeats a defender, she summons another. These hordes have a max stack of 4 and scale with Sig level, rounding down. For each horde, Madelyne starts each fight with an uncanny passive with a potency that scales up to 20%. These uncanny passives last until she activates a special attack. Madelyne can expend goblin hordes in the pre-fight menu to carry out various tasks. With her crib swap, she immediately nullifies the first buff the opponent gains, and after 15 seconds, they gain a cruelty buff for 30 seconds. With the Goblin Instigators, while the pit is active, the opponent is inflicted with a 30% Infuriate debuff. Now, let's take her out for a spin in the champion rotation. Madelyne Pryor has Goblin Horde pre-fights she can expend before entering a fight. If you need a nullify at the start of the fight, you can opt for the Crib Swap pre-fight. Not only does this provide a form of buff control, that cruelty also gives you an additional buff to hinder so you can stack up even more degen damage. And to begin, strike the opponent to start building power. While working your way up to your special 2, you can weave in attack punishes to place your misery buffs on the opponent. Once ready, launch your special 2. And from here, you're gonna want to keep your opponent over the pit, focusing on baiting those heavy attacks and punishing them to stack your misery buffs. The hinder from the opponent being over the pit will reduce the potency of the misery buffs and any other buffs they trigger while it's active. This will result in some nice ticks of degen. Don't forget, time slows down when your opponent charges their heavy while they're hindered. So, you can immediately interrupt their heavy attack without having to dash back. That way, you can easily stack up that misery. And if you're struggling to get the opponent to launch those heavies, you can opt for the Goblin Instigators pre-fight to infuriate your opponents when they're standing over the pit, allowing you to have a much easier time getting your opponents to charge those heavies for you to punish. And also, if your opponent gains some pretty potent buffs, you can use those buffs against them. All you need to do is ensure they're hindered before triggering them to watch those massive degens melt them away. And hey, don't forget, if your opponent's power meter ever gets out of control, you can use your special 3 to power steal at their full power bars. That way, you can ensure that you stay in full control the entire time. Thank you for watching this Champion Deep Dive for Madelyne Pryor. And hey, if you liked the video and want to see more, click subscribe, like, comment, and share. And if you haven't already, join the official Marvel Contest of Champions Discord and come discuss. And remember, we'll see you in the Battlerealm.